All right, boys and girls, we're going to be doing describe events now. Remember, the events of a story are things that happen. Events often lead up to problems and solutions. So how do you compare the events? A character's actions and words lead up to the events. First, we need to find the spot in the text where a problem or major event occurs. Then, we need to identify important events that lead up to the problem and after the problem. And third, how are the events similar? How are they different? So I'm going to read from Cinderella, just a small part, two different paragraphs so we can compare. In the first one, the prince led her to the dolls, where sat the king and queen. She made a deep reverence before them, a slight but no less gracious one to the company, and withdrew. And although she had given no order, her coach stood waiting for her. Slipping in, she was whisked home in the time it took, or time it would take you to wink an eye. So be thinking, where was it taking place? Was there a problem? Where actually the events that happened? The second paragraph, with the last stroke of 12, coach and footman had whisked away, and poor Cinderella, barefoot now as well as in rags, painted homeward over roads where the flint cut her until she bled, and the owls and the great moths blundered out of the bushes against her face. To make matters worse, a thunderstorm broke before she had ran half the distance, and she arrived home in a terrible plight, muddy, drenched to the skin, and almost more dead than alive. And one thing only, she was fortunate. She had outstripped her sisters, whose coach on the way home lost a wheel. And I have a suspicion that Cinderella's godmother had something to do with this misadventure too. So let's look. We have something going on here, the events. This is all about her getting to meet the king and queen. Reverence, a bow maybe, where she bows to the king and queen, and it was a slight but no less gesture. And then, so this is her meeting the queen and king. And she was here whisked home. So she met him. She was at the ball. Then she quickly was whisked home. The second one is actually her in the coach. She's in the coach. It's 12 o'clock now, and she's whisked away. She's barefoot. That means she's barefoot, which means she's probably lost that slipper somewhere along the way. And then to make matters worse, when we think about making matters worse, there's a problem. There's a thunderstorm that happened. She was drenched. But the solution was, can you think about what the solution would be? She made it home before her sisters. Yes, she made it home before her sisters. So we're going to call that the solution. Or here's our problem, and here is the outcome. She made it back before them. Okay, so let's go down. We have a Venn diagram. And a lot of times you can have a Venn diagram. You can also have a chart to fill out. A chart would look similar to this. Yes, those are my answers. But it would be 3 columns. Or you can have a Venn diagram, either one kind of to set it up. So we're going to be looking at events number 1. So there was a major event and problem in the first one. First paragraph. I'm going to zoom out. Be thinking about what that was. Okay, she met the king and queen. So she met the prince. She met the prince. And then she was whisked home. She had to slip in and she was whisked home. And we know from the second paragraph, it was 12 o'clock. We know it's 12 o'clock. She was being whisked away, so she's in the coach. Oh, this is the ball. We'll put little bullets. We don't have to write in complete sentences. So she's in the coach. She's barefoot. Hint, she's barefoot. So she's lost her slipper. Ooh. So in these events, maybe she's lost her slipper. She makes it home. Or back to the castle before her sisters. Awesome. Now, what do both of these have in common? What do they have in common? We found different things that were going on, but what do they have in common? Give you a minute to think about that. And if you want to, you can go ahead and write it in, your prediction of what you think. I think that she went to the ball. She got an opportunity to go on the ball. She rode in a coach to get there. She probably rode in a coach to get back. She met the prince. She got to go to the ball. I think that that's what they both have in common. She went to the ball. And then you can probably go ahead and give me a few more things that the story has in common. And boys and girls, that is how we're going to describe events within a story. Remember, the events of a story are things that happen, and they often lead up to problems and solutions.